in my head, I'm like, you want to give me a platform to talk about country music where no one can tell me to shut up? I'm down. Good morning, country music fans. My name is Brendan Garrity. I am here with my esteemed co-host, Lee Powell. Lee, how are you doing this morning?
Oh my gosh. Thanks so much for getting this going with the Caught Up in the Country podcast, Brendan.
Our first
I'm
ever
excited to be here.
episode.
I know. Oh my gosh, this
Super
is crazy.
exciting. So why
Yeah.
don't we kick it off with a little bit of a introduction about you? We'll get into me,
Mhm.
and then we'll talk about fun stuff.
Well, I guess my story kind of starts with. Let me work backwards. I'll tell you what I'm doing right now, and then I'll go back and kind of give you my history. I'm a music teacher. I teach chorus. I teach musical theater. I teach guitar. I'm from South Georgia, so like listeners out there, Brendan and I don't actually like we've never met in person. But we have a shared love of country music. My country music love started when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old. I used to be a singer. I would say like I traveled around the southeast region of the United States, like singing in bands, singing on Broadway in Nashville. Um, all by the time I was like 16, and then I went to college and I got a real job. I say real job. Oh my God, let me take that back. That was terrible. I got a job as a teacher just because I was afraid that I couldn't do country music full time. And there are other reasons why I like decided not to do that. A lot of them to do with the influences of other people, and yeah, maybe I'll leave it at that and just say that I'm glad to be here now because ultimately I think country music has been my passion from a young age, and I'm very excited to be with Brendan and get to know more about him in this process too. So,
Fantastic. Yeah, so for me, I'm born and raised northern New Jersey, um, basically the sticks in New Jersey. I live out in the woods. I'm a cop right now. That's what I do. That's something I've always wanted to do. It's running the family, so I enjoy it. The good part about it is that I'm in my car for 12 hours a day, so all I do is listen to country music. So I have listened to every single thing I could find. I just found a new artist yesterday that I dove deep into, Steven Wilson Jr., I think it is.
yeah.
Um, Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, it's a I've always liked country music, but recently through TikTok and everything, I've found, my passion for underground, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But same, just like you said, I'm excited to get to know you and see where this podcast can go, and just, you know, overall, just have a good time. That's pretty much it. And I want to let the viewers know that I'm a man of class with great cookware. For those who are not watching and only listening, it is a Step Brothers mug with Dale and Brennan's face on it. So that's a little bit about me. But so let's get into how we got into country music itself. What is like, what's the thing that made you say, "Hey, I want to get this Coda Country platform going," and just an overall social media presence with country music?
Yeah, thank you so much for shouting out Coda Country too, because like I did not even say anything about that. A couple months ago, I would say back October, November ish, I was looking for an outlet. You know, I've been doing what I've been doing for the past 10 years now, and like part of me was like, I really want to break into the music industry on the like business aspect of things, promotional aspect side, and so I started Coda Country kind of like as a fan page, and now it's kind of become like its own little podcast host, its own promotional site, its own live events. I guess hub. I don't know what you would call it, but anyway, so it's kind of evolved into this thing that just it's really just a passion project that's taken like a path down a road that I would eventually like to dive into more. Um, and and honestly, from starting Coda Country, I think I've learned a lot more about the music industry and kind of have grown like a bigger respect for it. And it's like it's a big monster in itself where you there are different things that you don't know about until you get involved in it. And so I've loved seeing that side of things kind of take shape for me, and I'm interested to see where this goes too.
Yeah,
So
and that's something
yeah.
that you and I share, is that I want to know more about, country music and the inner workings of it, and see what these guys go through, guys and girls go through day to day. For me, country music, we talked about it when I got onto Coda Country. I hated country music until I was about 13 or 14 years old. I couldn't stand it. Again, I was in my rebellious age, so I was like Nickelback, Lil Wayne, I was Eminem, country music was the stupidest thing that my mom would play on the radio. Although I do have some good memories of listening to like Dierks Bentley, What Was I Thinking, out on the deck when I was like super young. But we drove down to Florida, and I want to say it was in 2007-ish, and that's a 24-hour drive. My mom's driving. She said, I don't care. I'm listening to my music. So it was just 24 hours straight of country music, and it beat me into submission to the point where I'm like, you know what? This isn't so bad. It's and I started listening more and more, and just, I would listen to the main stuff and just, whatever's out on the radio. And then as time went on, I'm like, this radio stuff's kind of getting boring for me. It's all kind of it's all kind of similar in a sense, most kind of similar in a sense. And like, there's got to be more out there. So I fell in love with the kind of the rock aspect of country music. Brantley Gilbert was one of the first ones that I kind of drifted to, because he had that Nickelback kind of style, right? That double bass, that just absolute rock show. One of the best concerts I've ever been to, by the way. And as time has gone on into the past probably year or two, I've found that this I don't want to say like underground, because these guys aren't necessarily underground, but like this lower level of country artists that are putting out just amazing stuff that aren't getting the recognition that I think they should, right? That's the music I like. And I keep looking up to my right here because I got a playlist playing in the background, and this is all those artists that are like, up and coming. So yeah, it's just awesome to like go in and see these guys who are just, brand new music, aren't really touring or anything yet. They're trying to get their feet in the ground and, just try to kind of put their music out there. So that kind of leads us into how we met, which would be TikTok, right?
TikTok. Yeah. So I guess I found you first. I don't really remember, honestly. But I think that's how that went, because Brenden has a much bigger follower.
Follower
What do you
base.
say with that?
Follower
base.
Sound
Thank
weird.
you.
Following makes it sound like I'm the
Words
Justin
are.
Bieber of TikTok. Might
Oh
not
my
be a bad
gosh.
thing. Might not be a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all. Yeah, words were escaping me just then. So yeah. And then I was like, wow, okay, so he makes very similar content to me. Let's be friends. And I guess that's how we're friends now. So
Yeah, that's it. I just I think I reached out to you after seeing you either followed or messaged or liked something, and I checked out your content.
yeah.
I'm like, oh wow, we do something similar. Let me reach out and just say, hey, this is pretty cool. We went on last week, went on the podcast, got to talk a little bit, and then afterwards, Leigh was like, hey, listen, maybe we should try to get into our own podcast together. And after many nights of just sitting up, bouncing names back and forth, I mean, maybe we should just post the actual list of everything I sent you.
Oh my gosh, we really should.
All this stuff. She's like, hey, let's do a podcast. And I'm thinking, in my head, I'm like, you want to give me a platform to talk about country music where no one can tell me to shut up? I'm down. I'm good with that.
Well, because I feel like we both love to talk, like in general.
My friends do not want to get in the car with me anymore. When we drive down to Atlantic City, it's like 2.5 hours. The entire time I'm like, oh, this guy's from here and he does this and he sings this, and I know you know this song, but this song is even better, and they're banging their head against the car window within the first 30 minutes.
Nobody gives you the aux, for sure.
I give myself the aux because I'm usually driving. And I have a little bit of my mom in me. I say, I'm driving, my music. I got my playlists all set up and everything. But at least with these, viewers and listeners here, I can't see them banging their heads against the window. So I could just keep talking ad nauseum.
That's right. And they're never going to get tired of hearing you.
Yeah.
Because if they're tuning in, they're tuning in to listen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wait. I'm going to reverse a little bit and go back to your mom in the car. So you said that was back in 2007, whenever you took that road trip?
It had to be 2007. It's somewhere between 2007 and 2010. I was young. You know what?
Okay, so let's do a dive on that. Do you remember like any specific song that she would play in the car on that car ride that you were like, wow, this sucks? But then by the end of the trip, you were like, okay, this is not bad.
See,
you know what I mean?
it had to be closer to 2010 because I think it was whenever Cruise came out.
Oh yeah, FGL for sure.
And
Yeah.
say and exactly that. I'm like, what is this crap? What is this? Like, baby, you're a song. I'm like, I put my headphones in, I turned my Millie or whatever I was listening to up to like ear bleeding level. I remember specifically, actually, we were going to a flea market one day,
Hmm.
and I was playing "Crack a Bottle" by Eminem. I think it was "Crack a Bottle" by Eminem in the car with my two young siblings in the back. My mom
Hmm.
punches the radio. She goes, "You're not playing that anymore." I said, "Mom, this is my
Yeah.
music. Stop trying to like shoot me down, man." Right, little however old I was. Um, but I specifically remember, we used to live down in a more populated area, I'd say, and
Hmm.
we'd sit out on the back deck, and she'd always be playing like Dirk Bentley. What was I thinking? How am I doing? Her and my grandma are and were obsessed with Travis Tritt, so like it's always been around, and
Hmm.
I just never really, got into it until I was basically forced. You know.
Yeah. So I think for me, I mean, like you said, it's country music has always kind of just like been around. I remember like the first album that I actually latched onto, and this may have been like when I was oh, maybe like five, 4, 5. And I remember the cover art, and I remember like the CD and like all the little stuff on the CD. Was Garth Brooks' greatest hits.
Mm.
That has like "Ain't Going Down Till the Sun Comes Up." I'm trying to think what else. I remember that song specifically because I played it out. Like I think the CD is scratched in that one little spot from where I would play that song over and over and over again. And I also think like Boot Scootin' Boogie. I have a video of me like 3 years old
Hmm.
on the the fireplace hearth, like dancing around to that song.
Yeah, my mom has me
Yeah, Brooks and
singing
Dunn.
In
Yeah.
Sync in the car and Backstreet Boys. I mean, I still sing Backstreet Boys now, but that's after.
No, I mean you still should. So let's not lie
Oh
because
yeah,
we talked
listen.
about that.
Once, and we'll get into like the Nashville stuff in a few minutes, but once I get to Nashville, there's no karaoke bar that's safe from the Backstreet Boys. Right? Let me tell you, I will. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. It will be sung by me, and
Mhm.
it probably won't go well for you. But um, yeah, no, I mean, and it's crazy for me to think that Garth Brooks himself, like at the time, was like I don't want to say hated, but like he's putting out this different music that people were like, I don't really know about this guy, and then it's Garth
Oh yeah.
freaking Brooks now, right? It's like
Hmm.
these trendsetters, you don't realize who they are. I mean, in a sense, you can kind of say FGL kind of did that,
Yeah.
not on the same grand scale. And to check out my TikTok page, BG54 underscore, by the way,
Hmm.
you'll see that I trashed them a good amount because I think towards the end they kind of tapered off of like the
Right.
good, like Cruise was the album that was
Uh huh.
fantastic. Like
Yeah.
early Jason Aldean, stuff like that. And then they kind of
Hmm.
trail off into, I don't want to say they're pandering, but they're doing what their executives tell them to do to get those radio plays and just to stay relevant. You got guys like again these lower level guys like I actually had this exact conversation with Raleigh Keegan, who was on your podcast as well,
Yeah,
another
that's true
TikTok
too.
guy,
Yeah. Hmm.
um, where he was like, "Yeah, I stay independent because I want to put out what I want to put out. I don't want to put out what they're telling me to put out. Like I want to
Hmm.
do what I love." And he's got a very, very I don't want to say, I don't know if it's specific, but a very
Unique.
unique. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I would say unique for
This
sure.
this is
Yeah.
why we work well together. We finish each
I know.
other's.
Sandwiches?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
sure. Okay.
exactly what I was thinking. Oh my god, I've never even seen that movie, but um, yeah. So he's like, hey, like I want to put out, and he's got this unique sound, and like I do my If You Like series where I take like a well known household name artist, and then I compare them to somebody like Grant Gilbert's playing on my TV right now. I
Hmm.
found him comparable to Tyler Farr, right?
Oh
Who
yeah. Hmm.
and fantastic. But Riley Keegan's like the one dude I cannot figure out who you're like. And I don't want to offend him and be like,
Oh.
hey, here's this random artist. He's like, I don't sound like that. Like that's part of the fear because TikTok is very, communicable with these
Hmm.
artists. Um,
Yeah.
which is to say, like Riley Keegan reached out to me in I think August of 2019,
Oh
2018,
wow.
2019.
Yeah.
Um, as we, let's get into like how did we get into TikTok, and then I'll branch off into that. So how did you get into TikTok itself?
Oh man. Okay, so back when the pandemic hit and we were like stuck in our houses forever, I was one of those people which I'm like terribly regretting it now. I was like very adamant. I was adamantly against TikTok. Like
Hmm.
I did not want to be on TikTok. I didn't want to watch TikTok. I didn't even download the app until maybe like a year ago. And like I started just doing like personal stuff, like with my family, my kids. I even started like a work account for my students at school. And then I guess that's when I started Coda Country's TikTok account. Um, and I don't ever do reels on Instagram. I usually just like create all of my stuff through TikTok because
Yep.
honestly, it's a lot easier
I'm the same
to do
way. Yep.
content that way. Yeah. And then I don't know. I feel like I'm doing more successfully, I guess, on TikTok than I am on Instagram. It's harder to find followers on Instagram for some reason. Like it's easier to click the plus
Yeah.
on TikTok whenever you're scrolling through and you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Um, maybe it's just more visually driven. Like you have to like get through a lot of words whenever you're scrolling through Instagram sometimes, and I think TikTok has been a good way to help me push different artists and different. A lot of things that I've been posting recently have been concerts that I've attended within the past year, and I've been, let's see, okay, and I'll get into this later, but I've been to three off the top of my head that I can think of so far since January, and I've been posting just stuff of that and like set lists, and I don't know, I have like a one video set list of like Co Wetzel's show that he did in
Yes.
Tallahassee this
Yep.
past, and it's gotten like 45,000 views on it, and I'm like,
So Coetzel's
okay,
a hot ticket right now. People are looking for
I'm
any
telling
type
you,
of
and
Coetzel content, and I missed him. He was up here in New Jersey, I think, last summer, but like
yeah.
he still wasn't Coetzel. He was just and he was up here
Mhm.
with Colby Cooper too.
Oh, I love Colby
Look, like
Cooper. Oh my gosh.
I
Yeah.
bought this hat, right? I do not wear this style of hat, but it just says Colby Cooper on it. Look at how I look in this thing.
I mean, you kind of look like a cop, so
I kind of look stupid, is what I look like.
no. Oh my
Not my
gosh.
style of hat, but it was a $5 promotion for Colby Cooper. I'm like, I can't not. I
Hmm.
love the dude. He's another one that, he's I guess lower level. He's a Texas Red
Yeah.
Dirt guy. He's fantastic. Anyway, as you
Right.
were saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just crazy how some things gain traction on TikTok. Like, I'll put in a lot of work into certain videos and then, like, they'll get minuscule views. But
Hmm.
then, like, I post, like, words on a screen and it's like, that's what takes off. It's crazy to me. It's
Exactly.
absolutely crazy. Yeah. So that's how I think just,
Yeah.
the randomness of posting just whatever
Yep.
and getting views from it
Yeah. So
has been really helpful.
for me personally, I was in college around. It was 2018 when I actually downloaded it. I think it had to be August of 2018. Yeah. So
Mhm.
Riley reached out probably 2019. So August of 2018, I just downloaded it, and it was the worst thing I could have done in college because I'll have an 8 a.m. class and I'll be up scrolling until 2 a.m. Just all this stuff. I'm finding all this, country content and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
when I lived with my roommate, we had a Brita filter, right? And Steve-O never filled the Brita. Never did it. He would use it and just leave it on top of the fridge, and it drove me insane because
Mhm.
I was thirsty, but there was no water
Yeah.
for me to drink, right? So it became a whole Snapchat series where, like, I would scream at him to fill up the effing Brita because I don't know if we're going to curse, if we can curse on this or not. I have no idea.
I don't
I think we have to
know.
put the little E
We'll
next to
ease
the,
into it. I
yeah,
feel like we'll just, yeah,
yeah,
we'll ease
we'll
into it.
build up the pyramid of bad words, and then we probably won't get to the top tier because that's how we get canceled. But
Right,
we'll
right.
work our way up. But I would yell at him to fill up the Brita, and he would never do it. And it became a whole, like, there was Snapchat filters. It was like there was a Law and Order Special Victims Unit one where he's laying on the floor and he's like covered in water, and I'm like, this is what happens when you don't fill the Brita. What I'm getting to is that was what I was gonna post on TikTok, right?
Hmm.
And then like it just never, I don't know, manifest. It just never went that way. And then
Yeah.
I saw this country content. I'm like, you know what? Let me try a country song. So I put out, and I remember it because I forgot it on the last podcast.
Yeah.
Whoever broke your heart, Murphy Elmore.
Oh, okay,
Kind
okay.
of want to
Whoever
thank
broke
him,
your
but kind of want to knock him out like that. That's what it.
Oh my God. I just like had a core memory unlocked when you just sang
I
that because
know,
like I forgot all about that song.
I know, and I had all the terrible filters on it, but I had 0 followers. It was like one of my first videos, and that I think hit for like 5K views, right? And at that point in time, like that was a pretty cool thing, right? So I'm
Mhm.
like, let me kind of roll with this, and it was kind of one of those embarrassing, like, let me do it behind closed doors thing. I don't want anyone to know I'm a TikToker, right?
Yeah.
And I was pretty closed off about it for a long time, just posting before we'd go out to the bars and stuff like that. Before we'd pregame, my pregame would be going into my room, closing the door, say, "Hey guys, I'm doing homework," and then making TikTok videos, right? And then posting them out there, and they'd be like, "Come on, Garrity, we gotta go, we gotta go," and then I rip my phone down real quick and you know go running out with them. But yeah, so it just kind of took off from there. And there are videos who like have gotten a crazy amount of views that like I don't know why, you know, like I'll
Yeah.
spend 40 minutes trying to get this like perfect lip sync song right, and then my top video is a video of a toy tow mater saying "Don't touch my truck." That's my highest video. But and
Perfect.
TikTok's just weird like that. But
Hmm.
um, no, I mean it's been for all the shit I've gotten. There we go. We'll get it
Oh,
started.
there we go. That's the first one.
For all the
Check.
shit I've gotten for it, people make fun of it, and at first it was kind of like, yeah, it is kind of a little embarrassing, but I've met some really cool people. I've had communication with artists that I've loved for years, and like, we'll get into Daniel E. Johnson a little bit. I'm gonna be meeting him uh, when we go down to Nashville. When I go down to Nashville next week, but it's like there's just this new way of being able to communicate with these artists and really like get to know who they are and stuff like that, and you make a little money off of it when you get enough views. Um, so yeah, it's just kind of been a journey. Now I'm up to I think 83 point something followers, something like that, or 1,000 followers.
It's
Um,
a lot. Yeah.
it is, but TikTok's not giving me the views anymore, so now I gotta hop on the trends and be a little trendy boy for a little bit.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
yeah, so with that, we'll bridge into Nashville, right? I'm going
Yeah.
to Nashville on Monday. So that's what's today? Wednesday?
Yeah.
4 days. I have a countdown on my phone, but
Oh my God.
who's counting? Anyway, so we're heading down there Monday morning, and again, I'll go with the story on this like I did with your podcast.
Yeah.
So my mom came up to me probably a month or two ago, and
Hmm.
she's like, "Hey, listen, it's mine and your father's 30th wedding anniversary this year. We really want to take a trip down to Nashville. Can you set that up for us?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." So in her head, she's like, "We're gonna, the parents are gonna have a getaway, right?" So I'm like the vacation booking guru. Like I plan all the trip, everything. So I go in, I book the hotel, I book the flight there, the flight back, everything. Mom, credit card, she pays, and then she's like, "Hey, why is there an extra room and plane ticket on my credit card?" I'm like, "Because you're not going to Nashville without me, all right? Listen, you guys go do romantic stuff. You guys go have your fun. I'm gonna go be a drunken degenerate and go play on Broadway, right?" But on top of that, I also want to see like, take the tours of like the Ryman and the Opry and see like the inner workings of, going down towards like 16th Ave and like all that stuff, right? And just seeing, you know, everything else, Music Row.
Hmm.
So the plan is basically we land on Monday. I'm running straight to the Country Music Hall of Fame once we land
Great.
because we have like a couple hours to kill before we can actually check in.
Hmm.
So Country Music Hall of Fame, I think Tuesday night we're going to see Matt Stell and George Burge. George Burge is
Cool.
another one who I've had a couple of conversations with on here. Cool dude, cool.
Yeah.
Um, Wednesday, I'm going to meet up with my artist of the week, Daniel E. Johnson. We'll get into a little bit about him in a few minutes, but
Hmm.
he just reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, man, if you're coming down, because I've been a fan of his for a while, like, hey, if you're coming down, let's film some content together. I got a mini music video I want to do. I'd like to throw you in as the main character." I'm like, "Cool, yeah." And with that, when he's telling me about it, he's like, "Yeah, probably have you be a bartender. We'll be at a rooftop bar, something like that. Um, do you have a pretty good reach? Is there anybody down there, like any women that like you could bring into the music video?" I'm like, I'm gonna be honest, like I don't really, have anybody down there that I can think of off the top of my head. He goes, "All right, I'll talk to my wife. She's a retired NFL cheerleader. I think I can get one of her friends." I'm like, "Yep, you can do that. That's
Any of them,
it's
all of
that's
them.
okay with
So,
me, I guess." Sure. So we're doing that, and then Wednesday night, actually at the Opry, hopefully we can make that work. Is Rhett Atkins, Steven Wilson Jr., who I just found, which is funny how all that stuff works.
yeah.
And then I don't know, Thursday we'll figure it out. Maybe a Predators game or just one last hurrah, and then we fly back on Friday morning. So it is
Oh my
a
gosh.
full schedule. We're there for what, 4 nights, 5 days, something like that. I don't know. Is it enough? I have no idea. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back in like 2 weeks after, if my
Oh
liver
my
can
gosh.
handle it.
Yeah, probably. Well, and I was gonna say, since it's your first time, I mean, I feel like there's a ton of stuff that you're gonna see, and a ton of stuff that you're gonna want to go back and do again, and then
Right.
there's gonna be stuff that you won't get to hit up this time because like you were just saying, I feel like there's always something to do in
Hmm.
Nashville. You know, like you will never be bored, and you will never run out of things to do. Um, just my last time there, I actually went with like my kids and my husband and my mother-in-law. We booked a tour. Uh, we did a tour of the Ryman, and then we did a show at the Ryman. We saw Mitchell Tenpenny and
Mm.
Tyler Braden.
Oh, I
I know
love
you love
Tyler
Tyler
Braden.
Braden. Yeah, yeah. And so the show itself was awesome. But my mother-in-law had never been to Nashville. My husband had been like once with me when we were like 16. So like things have changed a lot. So much in the past, however long ago that was. Um, but I don't know. I like I said, there's so many little pockets of places to be in, like
Hmm.
12 South, the Gulch, um, over there where you're staying at the Drury with like Third and Lindsley, and I don't know, Peabody, Sixth and Peabody. Like there's so many things that you can find
Yeah,
to
Third and
do.
Lindsley's is where we're seeing George Burge and Matt Stell.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very I don't want to say quaint, but it is. I mean, it's like a smaller little venue. I think you'll like it just because it seems a little more intimate.
Yeah, I'm
So
one,
yeah.
like I'm a front row warrior. Like if I can get up close and personal, like I'm gonna do it. It is general admission, but I think there are chairs and stuff in the back and stuff like that that
Oh yeah.
you can sit at. So I told my parents, I'm like, hey, if you guys want to go sit in the back, have some food and drinks, I'm gonna go be a front row degenerate, right? A drunken front row degenerate. And my toxic trait when it comes to country music and country concerts is that if I'm seeing you in concert, I'm listening to every single one of your songs.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
You
George
gotta know
Birch
them.
and Matt Stell have
Hmm.
been on repeat nonstop. And Matt
Yeah.
Stell actually just put out like a 6 song EP, which is fantastic. He's
Hmm.
got Shut the Truck Up on there, which is awesome. Um, so that's been all on repeat because I sit in a car for 12 hours a day. I have no choice but to know the words.
Right. Right.
And then once the
Do
drinks
you
hit, who
sit by
knows?
yourself? This is a question that I have. Do you sit by yourself for 12 hours?
Yes.
Because I would go stir crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do that at all.
Yeah. So we're in a less, like I said, less populated-ish area. So we ride
Hmm.
one man. We
Okay.
have cars around us, so throughout the night we might stop by and just chat with each other and stuff like that. But uh, for me, I find a little bit of a peace in it, and I, find it a good time to like. And Chief, by the way, I don't make any TikTok content at work, but it gives me a chance to like really dive into artists and podcasts and stuff like that, where I can, bring that to when I do make my TikTok and stuff like that. And it gives me a chance to listen to people that I would never listen to when I'm just driving back and forth. My commute to work's 2 minutes, right? I can't fit a
Yeah.
song in that time. So I
No.
gotta
Yeah.
like, I used to work 30 minutes away, which is great because the new album would come out. It hit all the perfect songs and stuff like that. By the way, Luke Combs' new album,
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
one of the, I wouldn't say, I don't know if I'd say album of the year just yet because
Yeah.
Muscadine's album is fantastic.
It's also really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
And again,
Hmm.
maybe we'll get into this hot take next time, but Morgan Wallen's new album, eh, eh,
We'll have to talk
mid,
about that. Yeah, for
mid,
sure. Huh. We'll
mid at
come
the
back and
most.
talk about albums.
Yeah, because we're getting to our time limit here. I don't know. But
I guess so.
so with all that being said, why don't we get into our artist spotlight? And in my head, I see like an animation going off where it's like exact lights going up and it says artist spotlight, but we're not that technologically advanced.
Who knows? I don't know. We'll try
Yeah.
it. We'll see what happens with that. I'll go first then. So this past summer, I met this artist. He opened up for Jimmy Allen in my hometown. Um, and his name is Ethan Payne. He's from Macon, Georgia, so not too far away from where I live.
What's he making?
But he's got a great song that just released called What Grandpas Are For.
Mm.
He's also got some really great stuff out. He auditioned for American Idol. He's actually a Make-A-Wish kid that got
Really?
to like work with Luke Bryan. Yes, it's like his wish. So he's got an awesome backstory. Ethan Payne, I think his handle is at Ethan Payne Music. So check him out. I really think you'd like him. And he's got some great music. So give it a listen.
I guess you got me somebody for my next If You Like series.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, for me,
I think,
go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Nope,
No,
nope.
I was going to say, I think if I was to compare Ethan to anybody, Oh, let me think. Um, he's kind of like a mixture of. Oh gosh, this is hard. Chris Lane. A little bit of. Let me think. Jordan Davis.
Hmm.
A little bit of. Yeah, I will say Luke Bryan too. I feel like that charisma is definitely okay.
Um, yeah, so for me, my artist spotlight of the week, just like I said, Daniel E. Johnson. He just released a new song, Heart Mechanic, which is absolutely fantastic. I gotta put him on the same level as like, not the same level, but the same kind of sound as Eric Church. He's just got that similar kind of voice and style. I've been listening to him since 2020. I don't have where he's from and all that stuff lined up yet. I'm not that, not that good. But started listening to him in 2020 with a song called Drink Alone. Where I found it, I don't know, but I fell in love with it instantly. And that's the song that we're going to do the music video for. So I posted a bunch of videos to the song Drink Alone, and he reached out. He's like, dude, I appreciate you like working with my content. Like, I just started my TikTok. Do you mind like, working with me and just kind of, you know, helping me push my music and stuff like that? I'm like, this is so cool. Now, and again, this is 3 years after I started listening to the guy. I listened to his whole profile and stuff like that. So like, it's cool to have somebody like that reach out, right? And now we're not necessarily working together, but we're like collaborating on stuff. And like I said, the music video is coming up. It's going to be a really good time. It's super cool. I'm going to try to go live on TikTok while we're doing all the filming, just so you can see the behind the scenes. Because I have no idea what it's going to look like. I have no idea what's going to happen, but we're just going to figure it out. And then while we're up there, since it is my parents' wedding anniversary, he was gracious enough. I'm pretty sure no one's home, so I think we're good here. But he was gracious enough that he's going to bring a guitar and he's going to come sing their wedding song. They have no idea it's going to happen. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait.
Wow. Okay, we'll have to talk more about your Nashville trip. I feel like this is going to be a pretty good one to tune into for sure for our next pod. But I guess okay. So how are we going to end this? This is strange because now I guess we have to say goodbye.
I guess we do. Yeah. We got to. I didn't think that far. I thought about the beginning. I thought about the middle. Not the end.
And there's an end, right? There's an end. Like,
end.
we can't just stop.
I don't know. You know what? I think it's just going to be a feeling, like a feeling out type of process. So, you know what? I brought us in. Why don't you bring us out?
Okay, for sure. To all the listeners out there, thank you so much for tuning in. You caught us together, Leigh and Brenden, on the Caught Up in the Country podcast. You guys, make sure you're listening to some good artists out there. Share what you like.